The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
Right. To us, black excellence.
that had to be there.
We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing.
The courtroom was still reeling from the shock of the last verdict when the next revelation landed, like a blow straight to the gut. But this time, it wasn't only Diddy under fire. The entire music industry took the hit. Jay-Z had been officially named.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He's right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying, Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names.
In a shocking twist, a new case has now dragged Jay-Z into the chaotic downfall of Diddy's empire. The moment his name echoed through the courtroom, Diddy began to unravel. He looked visibly rattled, pacing the floor, muttering to himself, his usual composure cracking right there in front of the judge, the cameras, and a stunned world. No one saw it coming, not even the most well-connected insiders. Just when it seemed the storm had passed, it came crashing back, louder, darker, and carrying a name no one ever expected. Suddenly, the courtroom's focus wasn't just on Diddy. All attention shifted to what this revelation might spark, what secrets it could unearth. And Diddy? The fear in his eyes said it all. Jay-Z had always been seen as untouchable, a mogul, a mastermind, someone always 10 steps ahead. But now, with the documents filed and the sworn testimony on record, that carefully built empire of power, wealth, and silence was starting to fall apart for all to see.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
The what?
All the boxes
He's
left
talking
over
in
from
code.
the
He's
pizza.
dumb.
All the boxes.
Okay.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about.
Yeah.
He's
Did
dumb.
Jay reach out yet?
Nah, Pop. He ghosting.
Yeah, watch.
What is this motherfucker doing? These things sweet
You heard him?
because I'm in here.
This
Jay-Z
is all
reach
good.
out.
You about to get out on bail.
No, fuck that.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
right. To us, black excellence.
That had to be there.
We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch. You're like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year.
Jane has sued both Jay-Z, Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs. This is out in New York. This is out in New York federal court, to be more specific. And she is claiming that when she was just 13 years old, she was raped by both of these musicians at a Video Music Awards after party back in 2000. And now Jay-Z, who is adamantly denying the allegations, is not only trying to get the whole case dismissed and thrown out, but he is also asking the court to impose sanctions upon Jane Doe's Texas attorney, Tony Buzbee. Now, this may sound very familiar, by the way, because this has been an ongoing legal war between Buzbee and Jay-Z and his legal team. Accusations that Buzbee engaged in extortion, that his firm pressured a client to lie, that Jay-Z's camp has been engaging in intimidation and harassment. Jay-Z called Tony Buzbee a deplorable human being. He even filed a lawsuit against Tony Buzbee. And by the way, Jay-Z and his legal team, their position was that Buzbee had extorted the rapper, that Buzbee allegedly threatened Jay-Z during negotiations that he would go public with these claims. Jay-Z says these are false claims, but public with these claims unless Jay-Z agreed to pay what they claim is a, quote, exorbitant sum in private mediation within a 2-week period. Jay-Z says that when he refused, that is when he was named by Tony Buzbee in the lawsuit. Remember, this lawsuit first came out, it was only identified as unnamed celebrity A, and then in an amended complaint, Jay-Z was identified as celebrity A. So you're seeing this really bad blood between the different players here. I mean, it got so bad that the judge in this case, Judge Annalisa Torres, actually scolded Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, writing in a recent order, Carter's lawyer's relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. Now, despite not allowing Jay-Z to immediately file for sanctions, Judge Torres did permit Jay-Z to file the motion that we're about to talk about. And this is big. So this is Jay-Z's memorandum of law in support of his motion for sanctions and dismissing the complaint.
And Diddy, who had hoped the spotlight would finally shift away from him, realized he was only sinking further. This new case isn't just about guilt by association. It's about alleged collaboration, shared witnesses, financial records, and supposed joint ventures that funded parties and gatherings now facing intense federal scrutiny. The allegations go even deeper, hinting that Jay-Z may not have just been aware of what was happening, he may have actually been there. Sources say the courtroom shifted uneasily when one witness testified that some of the most disturbing freak-off nights weren't confined to Diddy's circle alone. There were crossover moments. Other names, massive names, were allegedly involved. And when the attorney spoke Jay-Z's name aloud, the room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Every eye turned to Diddy. He didn't utter a word. He just shook his head, stared at the floor, and mumbled something the reporters couldn't quite catch. But by then, it didn't matter. The damage was already done. The story had changed. This wasn't just Diddy's case anymore. It had become a reckoning for the entire industry, and no one...
Basically, these are his legal arguments. So the filing begins right on page 1. While the allegations stated in the complaint in this case are gravely serious and injurious to Mr. Carter's hard-won reputation, many of them, on their face, strain the outer bounds of credulity, and none of them appear to have been subjected to even the most rudimentary diligence by the filing attorney who initially signed his name to them and has since declined to withdraw them. Because the federal rules and professional ethics require more of a filing attorney, Mr. Carter now respectfully seeks appropriate sanctions. And by the way, when we're talking about sanctions under Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, we're talking about a way to punish attorneys for really bad conduct. misconduct. Usually it's a monetary punishment. It's rare. It's rare. You don't see this all the time. You have to be talking about really egregious bad behavior. Rule 11, it's about making false representations to the court, filing a lawsuit for an improper purpose, like merely to harass someone, that you're asserting claims or defenses that are not backed up by the facts, the law, the evidence. The bottom line here is that Rule 11 requires attorneys to conduct reasonable inquiries into the facts and into the law before they file. Makes sense, right? Well, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, claims that Tony Buzbee violated Rule 11 by, quote, either knowingly making false allegations about Mr. Carter in the amended complaint, failing to conduct an adequate investigation into the complaint's factual allegations, or at a minimum, failing to withdraw the complaint once it became clear that numerous allegations in the complaint are false and the other allegations are therefore at least highly suspect. So what do they mean by these allegations are false? Well, here is where it gets a little tricky for Jane Doe, because NBC News actually interviewed her and they looked into this case. They looked into her claims. And here's what the filing says. NBC News journalists determined that a number of allegations were either false or highly doubtful. For example, paragraph 44 of the complaint claims that the party, again, this is the party where she claims she was assaulted, the party occurred at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway that was approximately 20 minutes from the VMAs by car. But photographs show that after the VMAs, Mr. Carter attended a party at Lotus, a nightclub in New York. And by the way, there is a photo included here provided by Alex Spiro of Jay-Z at what appears to be a party with a lot of people. Later on in the memorandum, he writes, other photographs from that evening also show Mr. Combs with his then girlfriend, the musician and actress Jennifer Lopez, at two different establishments, Lotus and Twirl, neither of which was a large residence with a U-shaped driveway. And there is another photo that is included. This time it's of the pair, Jennifer Lopez, Sean Combs, and there is a caption at the bottom that says that they are at a MTV Video Music Awards after party at Twirl on September 7th, 2000. But that is not the only alleged inconsistency. You see, Jane Doe has claimed in her complaint that she was able to escape this situation and run away to a nearby gas station, call her father to pick her up. Well, the filing says, paragraph 60 states that
Denials, official statements, PR firestorms. Jay-Z's team moved fast, dismissing the claims as baseless and branding them a desperate attempt to smear a cultural icon. But nothing could stop the avalanche now. This wasn't just internet gossip. It was backed by federal documents, sworn testimony, and a wave of troubling, unanswered questions. How far did it go? How much did Jay-Z truly know? And what exactly tied him to the darkest corners of Diddy's crumbling empire? For Diddy, the plan was obvious. Pull another giant into the spotlight, hoping to deflect some of the pressure. But it backfired. Badly. The judge didn't blink. The prosecution didn't waver. If anything, the courtroom grew colder, more intense, more unyielding. And Diddy? Once again, he looked like a man falling apart from within. Outside, the media frenzy erupted. Reporters packed the steps. Headlines screamed, Jay-Z named in shocking case following Diddy trial. Blogs caught fire. Twitter spiraled. TikTok overflowed with conspiracy theories and wild speculation. Everyone was asking the same question. Is this the downfall of hip-hop's most powerful duo? Behind the scenes, legal teams scrambled. Jay-Z's attorneys were already working overtime to sever every possible connection.
It seems to me to be a significant new detail because prosecutors, again, in my mind, they must have learned about this after filing the original indictment, and that they learned either through witness testimony, maybe through the staff member, maybe through digital or physical or transactional documents. Remember, there was massive discovery in this case. Prosecutors indicated they have gone through a lot of material. So is this documented somewhere? Can they prove that it was $100,000? Maybe if it was a secret payment, it'd be hard to, have some sort of documentation about it. But then again, if there are bank records, maybe. But it could also just definitely be that alleged hotel staff member who's going to testify about this at an upcoming trial. Remember why this event is so important? It's not just that Sean Combs allegedly beat Cassandra Ventura. It's that prosecutors say she was escaping a freak-off. There was a male commercial sex worker in that room that she was running away from. Okay, so moving on. The next one is actually a very significant difference from the original complaint. So when talking about the criminal enterprise that Sean Combs allegedly led, and that's, by the way, what we mean by the racketeering conspiracy charge, the original complaint read, from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization. But in this new indictment, it now reads, from at least in or about 2004 through in or about 2024. So first, you're going back to 2004 now. That has opened 4 more years of potential alleged criminal activity and evidence. And I gotta believe that means you have new alleged victims who claim that they were abused since then. Now, how do I know that there might be more victims here, victims that go back to 2004? The new indictment says so. A few pages later, it reads, Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims, including but not limited to 3 female victims, victim 1, victim 2, and victim 3, to engage in commercial sex acts. Also, I have to call this out too, the original indictment talked about engaging in freak-offs. This has now broadened to commercial sex acts. So we're talking about conduct that may not rise to the level, again, of these elaborate and highly orchestrated sexual performances like freak-offs, but just...
Jay-Z's team maintains there's no solid evidence, just noise and speculation, but the court isn't swayed by image or reputation. They're after connections. And the deeper investigators dig, the more twisted and messy the web becomes. One courtroom observer summed it up best. You can feel it in the air. This isn't just about one man anymore. It's about legacy. It's about history. It's about who's been protecting who and for how long. For Diddy, the fallout was immediate. His mood soured, his behavior shifted. In court, he started snapping at his lawyers, pacing the room, rubbing his forehead like he could feel the pressure closing in. Because if Jay-Z goes down, if even the idea of him standing trial becomes real, it sends a chilling message. No one is untouchable. Not Diddy, not anyone. Now, behind the scenes, longtime insiders are finally breaking their silence, leaking stories they've held onto for years. Whispers of wild industry parties, NDA-sealed weekends, and fortress-like mansions where the guest list looked like something out of a presidential event. And the names being mentioned, they're big. They keep coming up. At the center of it all is still Diddy, locked up, bail denied, unraveling piece by piece. Jay-Z hasn't set foot in the courtroom yet, but the subpoenas are already being delivered. And when that door finally opens, no one knows what will come pouring out. Because now, this isn't just a courtroom drama anymore.
They have, and letting this motion go is part of that understanding. That would be my third possible reason.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that it's speculation, but I think by you kind of explaining that, I feel like that might also be very plausible. I want to go back to what you said during kind of your second explanation, where, I'm sure Jay-Z, from his side, he probably wants this lawsuit just to be, or this complaint to be dismissed, or not even amended in the first place, made in the first place. Obviously, nothing goes away in the blink of an eye, But in your opinion, watching all of this legal back and forth that's been unfolding these past few months, do you think there is enough to dismiss, or do you think at a point this will even get litigated?
I think it's going to get litigated. If I had to guess, I haven't really studied the complaint against the motion to dismiss, so I don't have a advanced opinion about it. But my reaction to it is that the complaint accuses him of some very bad stuff, and that ought to be enough to move the case forward. That's my guess. Now, remember, at the outset of these litigations, we go through kind of a honing phase where the dispute is sort of narrowed down to certain parties and certain claims. And sometimes the motion to dismiss doesn't get rid of the case entirely, but it gets rid of some of the claims, or it gets rid of some of the parties. I see today, by way of example, there's a brand new filing dismissing defendant Bad Boy Records LLC. There were separate claims against that company, and I don't know where all these companies fit in the pantheon of bad boy records, but that company has been dismissed voluntarily from the action. And you'll see that kind of thing at the beginning of civil litigation. The parties and the claims have to be sorted out, and then the case can proceed with discovery.
And we do want to mention to our viewers there that even though Bad Boy Records was dismissed off that complaint, Sean Carter and Sean Combs are both still named there. I also want to talk to you, Rich, about a point that Jay-Z's lawyer made previously, and that was that Tony Busby never even met with.
This has become a battle for survival, and no amount of fame, fortune, or influence can offer protection now. Diddy didn't break down in court just out of fear. He broke down because the moment Jay-Z's name was thrown into the flames, he realized something far more terrifying. The system wasn't finished. The game wasn't over. The circle of silence they thought would protect them, it's beginning to shatter. The rest of the courtroom sat in stunned stillness, eyes fixed on Diddy's trembling hands, each person silently asking themselves, how many more names are about to fall? Because if Jay-Z is caught in this, who else is just one subpoena away from complete collapse? In that moment, on that day, the message rang loud and clear. The era of silence is done. This is just the beginning.